It's not about motivation. Winners need discipline. Wake up and win today. Discipline comes from within.
Boxing King Media in association with Box Road. Dev, Sahni, we're out here in Birmingham. Have you got a Birmingham accent?
Not to my knowledge, no. It's good to be here, though. It's been a while since Queensbury have had a show here. Been a while since I've been here. And yeah, it's a cracker on Saturday. So many great fights. Frank explained it very well, as you'd expect from a Hall of Fame boxing promoter. Explained it very well that each fight has a story. And like there's so many that I'm interested about. Your mate Cash Ali, can he back up his words? I'm very intrigued. Great to be here.
Definitely so. You said it's been a while since you've been back up in Birmingham. Why is that, actually? Just out of curiosity, why do we never get Matchroom or Queensbury shows up north in Birmingham or even further up north? It's very rare.
I think we tend to come to Telford, which Liam Davis is down. We haven't got a fighter who's just from Birmingham. So, but this is a great spot because it's a big arena, and you've got kind of everyone. You've got Nathan Heaney, Liam Davis, all of these guys all here. Why have we not been here? Probably because we've been going to Telford. That's kind of it. I think we were here a few years ago, and I feel like I was working on another show somewhere else. I think we might have had like a night in the States as well. Might have been Fury Wilder 3. Might have had a show here that time.
And obviously there's a lot of fights and we'll be here all day talking about them all, but I just want you to pick one out. So which one are you most excited about? Which one do you think will cause the most dramatic moment Saturday night?
The one that I can't get out of my head is Joe Joyce and Cash Ali. And on paper, that should be the least competitive out of all of the Magnificent Seven fights, because the other ones, you've got unbeaten fighters against unbeaten fighters, titles on the line galore. There's certain levels. Cash Ali hasn't boxed anywhere near Joe Joyce's level, but if Joe Joyce is on the decline, if he lost to Zhang because he's on his way down, rather than Zhang just being the bogeyman, then it could make for a very interesting fight. I am eager to see if Joe Joyce can do a job on Cash Ali and join that big table, join the likes of, AJ, Fury, Usyk, Joshua, I've said AJ twice there, but, sort of be in that mix again. And a win over Cash Ali is what's separating him from those big nights. And he put up the poster about him and Parker having a rematch. He's the only man to have stopped Joseph Parker. That stoppage win just looks better and better and better the more Joe Parker fights, and him beating Wilder, him beating Zhang, it looks great. So if Joyce can pull it off, if Joyce can do his thing, if he can return to full-on juggernautness, then enter Joe Joyce into the big heavyweight division.
If Cash Ali does pull off a win, a big upset win, I think he becomes a Queensbury fighter. That's what normally happens when the away fighter turns up.
I don't know, but probably. He's been given the shot at Joe Joyce, the big opportunity of his career so far, and he looks like he's training very well. It was actually Andy Lee's interview that I saw with you, which I've brought up in a few interviews as well. Andy Lee says this is a proper fight for Joe Joyce, and it's a fight that he could lose. So those within boxing, with a knowledgeable eye, are aware of the threat of Cash Ali. He feels like he's the wrong man for the job. If the job is for Joe Joyce to rebound and show he's still that guy, they shouldn't have picked Cash Ali. We'll find out on Saturday.
We definitely will. Just want to talk to you about the events last weekend. The backlash from it is mainly been about Anthony Joshua in a positive way. A lot of people are saying he's back, etc. There's obviously other contrasting opinions to that as well. But the main one that Eddie Hearn's come out and said, and he feels like AJ is now the best heavyweight on the planet. And also, if there was a third fight with Usyk, he beats Usyk. I obviously spoke to Frank and I spoke to a few people today, and they all kind of said, well, you can't compare Ngannou to Usyk. I just want to get your opinion.
If I'm Anthony Joshua, I would want my promoter saying all of those things about me. And Eddie Hearn's very good at hyping up his fighter, rightly so for this version of Anthony Joshua as well. This guy looks better than ever right now. He looks tremendous, and it was a crisp, calculated, and cold knockout over Francis Ngannou, a walk away knockout. So I can certainly understand where the confidence is coming from. What I would say is that beating Ngannou in the manner he did was a big statement. If Tyson Fury beats Alexander Usyk, it's a bigger statement. So I feel like we should just sort of reserve judgment to see what happens on May 18th, because if Tyson Fury just walks through a guy that's beaten AJ twice, it tells you a lot about Tyson Fury. Similarly, if Usyk does a job on Fury and has an easier night than he did against AJ, certainly in the second fight, it says a lot about AJ. Every time we go to Riyadh, every time there's a flight back, something mad's happened, something that changes the landscape. And right now, it's everyone's talking about AJ and that demolition job. He looks better than ever. I'm interested to see what happens next. And Eddie Hearn is right to hype him up.
It is only fair because you will have seen only 2-3 fights ago, people were saying how AJ's confidence is gone. A lot of people are saying he should retire. I remember interviewing, I think Dave Caldwell after I think it might have been the Jermaine Franklin fight, and I think one of the comments he made was, I think he said it was sad to see AJ perform like that, and not letting his hands go. It's mad how within 12 months everything can completely change, and you've gone from that to you're the top dog again.
It seems like it, right? And who was training him for Jermaine Franklin?
Derek James.
Which is a great trainer, one of the best trainers in the world, but maybe just not the trainer and the setup for Anthony Joshua. He seems to have found a home and a connection with Ben Davison. There is a trust there, and Ben Davison's pretty kind of like he doesn't like hype himself up too much about all of this stuff. He says, all he's done is show AJ a couple of things and tweaked things that he already has. But I think he's done a tremendous job with Anthony Joshua, and they seem to have a good connection, and Lee Wiley's there as well. And AJ puts down the success and the turnaround to Ben Davison. So if he's doing it, we should give Ben some credit. So yeah, I don't want to come across as a Ben Davison fanboy, but I do think he deserves a bit of praise for the job he's done with Anthony Joshua. You can hear him in between rounds, the things that he's saying. So yeah, look, AJ's in a completely different place. He is a confident fighter. He is letting his shots go. And I liked his interview after the fight as well. He wasn't hyped about knocking out NGANNOU. He actually said, yeah, well, that one's done. And now I've just got to find out who I've got to obsess with next. And he gets obsessed with his opponents, watches their interviews, watches everything. And I do wonder who he's going to be obsessed with next. I would hate for it to be me,
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I had like a bit of a strange moment with him. I think I interviewed him on Monday, and he commented to me on the interview I did with Jeremiah Milton the day before, who'd sparred him previously, and he watched the interview, and he did tell me afterwards that he's a big fan of Boxing King Media. So he showed me on his phone that he was subscribed, and he's been watching all the recent interviews.
It's great, and it's I don't know how many fighters are doing that. Like, when I actually asked AJ that question on the stream about, I understand you're watching his interviews as well, all of this stuff, and he was like, yeah, I gain stuff from that. He likes to look into the mentality of fighters and what they say, and he's got people around him that can break down those words, break down the manner in which things are said. I'm not sure there's many other fighters that are doing that, because I asked Francis Ngannou that, like, have you been watching AJ interviews? And he was like, no. I don't know, does Tyson Fury watch interviews of Usyk? Is he doing that? I doubt it, and if he is, he's probably just sort of doing it to call him a sausage or something like that. I don't know, but it is fascinating. He's a deep thinker, AJ, and that's been something that people have poked at in the past and been critical about, because it's been deemed that he overthinks. But right now, everything seems to be clicking. Everything seems to be working well. So it's a good time to be Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, there's one thing I've picked up from having done a fair few interviews with Tyson and AJ recently, is that neither of them make any excuses for bad performances. Obviously, Tyson refuses, even now, I spoke to him last week, and he was like refusing to put anything down to his, the size he was. He still maintains he had a great camp. And I know in the previous performances where AJ hasn't performed well, he's never come out and said anything, saying, no, it was because of this or that. People around him may have done that, and people around Tyson have done that. It's fascinating that both of them, even though they're two different men, they kind of share that same value with regards to not making excuses.
Yeah, I like that, because look, even some of the very best boxers ever would still make some excuses in the event of defeat. They have to find ways to explain it to themselves or explain it away. Remember Manny Pacquiao, after he lost to Mayweather, he was talking about the shoulder and all of that kind of stuff. So very, very good fighters do, they have done it. Credit to Fury and AJ for for not doing it. And yeah, Tyson Fury always gave Ngannou his props. He doesn't want to take away the shine of Ngannou's performance against him. It was a big moment for Francis Ngannou, that fight, and how he performed. And I think the way Tyson Fury's handled it all, you know, and you can see he wasn't as prepared as he could have been, but you won't catch him saying anything like that, and that's credit to him.
You've been watching Tyson's stories over the last couple of days. He's been shopping in Asda, and I think there was one he put up yesterday about Nutella. He got the Asda's own brand, which was about £5 cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, it's big news for Asda's own brand, you know, wonderful chocolate spread I understand they have there. So, look, it's just funny. Look, he's got the whole Passat thing as well. He does still drive around in a Passat. I know he's got his Lambos and he's got all of those cars as well, but the fact that he still owns a Passat and uses it to like pick up the kids and stuff like that, he is a grounded guy. He is down to earth. He's got a lot of money, but yeah, that was an amusing story, and I do believe that would be true. I think he has just got Asda's own brand chocolate spread, and I'm probably going to try it myself.
Yeah, it's funny because he probably drove to Asda in his Lambo, which probably cost him £50 in fuel.
That's the thing. Has he done that, or has he gone in the Passat? I don't know. I'd imagine one is probably more comfortable than the other, but one is probably, as you say, more fuel efficient.
Definitely. So last thing, I spoke to Frank earlier because I asked Eddie Hearn this question about how these guys are constantly travelling country to country doing press conference after press conference. And obviously, Frank's been doing it a lot longer. I just asked him today what kind of drives him to do it. And it's quite an interesting answer. His answer was basically around the fact that he loves seeing the stories in fighters that come from nothing who end up making it somewhere. And Eddie's viewpoint was that he's kind of addicted to success. It's interesting, two different viewpoints from two guys who are top of their game.
100%. Look, Frank's a Hall of Fame boxing promoter. I'm sure Eddie will, you know, when that time comes, he'll be a Hall of Fame boxing promoter as well. And it's always good to get insights to what drives them. Frank is I think he's 72 years old now, and you can see his eyes light up around these fighters and the stories. It's every other week we get a new young fighter who's come into the office who it's all they know and they want to make it, and like the look on Frank's face, the glow when he hears these fighters' story and then he signs them and they get that photo with him in front of all the previous fight posters. It's quite a sight to behold, and I'd imagine it's the same sort of thing with Eddie. Eddie's fiercely competitive. He wants to, you know, everyone's getting on now, but for a long time he wanted to just kind of take over the world. I'm sure that's still his ambition as well, but these are two guys very much at the top of their game, and it's interesting to hear what drives them.
Last question, do you think at some point we'll see Frank and Eddie come to loggerheads again? Because this depends how long this Saudi thing continues for. Do you think at some point we're going to see him at loggerheads again?
I think we'll see it in the 5v5. I think that's the one, because everything's been very, very nice, very cordial. But when it comes to that, the gloves will be off because the gloves will be on. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure there'll be plenty of back and forth there. And with regards to the wider picture and everyone getting on, and this is great. Look at the fights that are being made. Look at what's happening. There's talk of other fighters trickling down, not just from Saudi, but UK shows as well. You know, helping each other out, putting fighters on here and there. I've heard them talk about that. It's really, really good news. So, will they ever return to loggerheads? I think around the 5v5. Yes, I think there will be biting comments at the press conferences. Both really, really want to win. But other than that, I hope not. We're in a good place right now. This is great for boxing.
Last question, if you could short answer, if you could make any fight from a matchroom fighter against a Queensberry fighter for that event, what would you do?
I mean, obviously, look,
the
dream fight is Fury Joshua, but that's kind of that is a way. Just one.
Realistic one as well.
Just one for that event. Probably Nick Ball against probably who's the champion they got? Ray Ford. That feels like a good fight. Well, yeah, Hamza Shiraz against. Yeah, no, probably the Nick Ball. I'd probably go with that. I feel like he's an uncrowned WBC world featherweight champion right now, and I'd love to see him get a shot at a world title.
Yeah, likewise. He was here today. Lovely bloke. Dev, appreciate your time, and thank you, man. We'll catch you fight night.
Catch you then.
I got a question for you. Where can discipline take you? Discipline points you toward your goals.